In this video, I've brought in architectural graduates who are award-winning and who are amongst the best students in the country, and they'll be telling you 7 things that they wish they knew when they were studying architecture. If you stay to the end of this video, you'll be able to see some of their great projects, and you will learn some secrets of how they were able to produce their work. This is part 3 of the Surviving Architecture series. Then, regarding your work, like how would you start a project conceptually?
I do a few sketches. I think the process starting a project is like the longest process because you can do floor plans in a night. You can do a section in a night and have it be decent. But your concept really has to be strong and you really have to think about it. And then I'd move into perspectives because I like to understand space and how things look before I draw it as a plan. So I do my perspectives, get a bit of an understanding of what I wanted to feel like while I'm moving through, and then I'd do my plans. For my Caesar Stone project, it was only modeling, actually stretched out fabric, and that generated a floor plan for me. And then from there, I used wire and I went over my floor plan, and that generated the voids and the spaces and the volume. So that was quite an interesting way to start a project, I think, and I think it was probably my most successful project, like using models and then creating something.
Well, what gives you inspiration to make those models and those sketches? Like, what are you thinking?
I can't figure things out.
So just like intuition.
Very easily. And it was like a tensile structure, and I was like, I don't actually know how to draw this. Like if I cut a section through it right now, I wouldn't know how to draw it. So I went to the shops and I bought wire, and I just stuck it in to this piece of foam, and it literally helped me draw every single one of my sections. And then once I had my sections, I started my 3D, and then it all connected. So it was like the easiest way to do it for me.
Do you feel like your concept was strong enough to save you?
Probably, man. Probably. And maybe like that one rendering, that one drawing that I had that carried the whole project. And it just it goes to show that you could produce so much work, right? And go so wrong with the whole project. But if you end up having that one image or that one render that encapsulates the whole project, your lecturers will start focusing on that one thing. They'll end up forgetting what's your model that you had or the other things that you came up with. But the few things that you had that are really good, they will start to talk about that.
But when it comes to your projects and your concepts, how would you come up with them, and what would your working process be?
So with my working process, it's not clear, right? It depends on the project or what's happening during the project and stuff. But I can say that most of my time is spent in regards to the concept, just going through different images. So I know Pinterest is this meme that's Pinterest saved my project. But no, seriously, if I go to my phone right now, I probably have, I want to say 30 boards, and in those boards 50 images. And I could go through my Pinterest right now and have a file, which is the project name, and then all of those images are linked to what the brief is wanting, or what I think the right answer to the brief is. So because a lot of us probably experience this thing where we have a wall where we can't go over in regards to trying to come up with an idea, and we constantly feel so dissatisfied with what we have right now. So, and when I get to that point, I just start scrolling through Pinterest, watch tons of videos, go through Instagram like crazy, because I know I'm gonna find my answer there. And it's happened so many times where like, okay, no, that's gonna work for sure. And I think it plays into the fact that I think I'm really good in like visually trying to see how the space is gonna look like in my head. So when I see like an image and another image, I try to tie the two together. And when I see a video about, I don't know, project and stuff, and how that project feels, like the space and the aesthetic of it all, I try to tie that with the images that I see as well.
I think what's important is first research. You know, that's like where you actually can like set the tone for what type of project you're trying to achieve, you know. It's more than the forms and the spaces. It's also about the experiences. You're designing structures, and you're designing how people are going to experience these structures. So when you do that, you're actually supposed to do a lot of research on psychology. You know, if you can give yourself an example, like maybe a restaurant. Yes, it's one thing to be able to fit everybody in the restaurant, but you need to design the restaurant in a way that is welcoming to. And on top of that, you have to understand what type of restaurant is it. Is it going to be like a restaurant like Spur? Is it going to be like a restaurant where it's like maybe family orientated? It is a restaurant that is usually for like the nightclub. You need all those type of things. You should understand the psychology of a person, what they like, what they don't like, incorporate that into your design. So whether you do concept sketches, whether you just start like writing down key points, mind maps and all that stuff, then the most important is like starting from a point where you have enough knowledge for you to start executing the project. You know, president studies are a very good idea. You know what they say, like to stand on the shoulders of giants, you know, so that you can see further. So look at what people have done previously, and also not having to reinvent the wheel, you know.
Well, you basically answered what I wanted to ask. So basically, when you're looking on Instagram or Pinterest, you're looking at the aesthetics. But are there like other things that you look at? Like, let's say construction details, or maybe something else, like let's say the spatial planning, or what do you specifically look at? Like what makes you tick as soon as you find the correct image?
Okay, that's a good question. I look at all three of them, the three that you just named now. So, but I don't look at all of them simultaneously. So for example, let's say I'm trying to find the best way to render a plan. And then I would like literally search that up on Instagram. Not search it up, but like go to my saves or go on Pinterest and just look for like the best plans that I think can represent the plans that I have in the best way. So I would use like Pinterest and Instagram for my construction projects. Obviously that doesn't make sense because like how are they? Well, not make sense, but like the essentially what happens is when I'm trying to look for a specific detail, or I can't find what I'm looking for online, which happens to all of us, I just end up going to Pinterest. It's my last hope. And then there's always that one image that like basically somewhat shows what I'm trying to go for, whether that's like a drawing or like an actual image of like how the connection is happening. Because around third year, like at that point, especially with construction, we started to like assume things, right? Because we couldn't find it.
Yeah, you're feeling like you know what's
going on. Exactly. Like we couldn't find that. Like I think with us, we were, the right answer looked like this. It was that exact drawing, that exact detail that we want to use for our project. That's very unique, that hasn't been done. So you see where I'm going with this. Like you're not gonna find these things that we're looking for online. And so you're gonna have to start to like do your due diligence in that you don't not assume things, but
use intuition.
Yes, use intuition, but put two and two together, as in, okay, like when you see like the detail that you're working with, you try to come up with the best way to respond to that. And the best way to do that is to take other details that have that you see online and then try to put the two together. You know, I did that in construction.
What was your favorite type of medium? Like, did you prefer hand drawings or Revit or SketchUp?
So I don't like SketchUp at all. It's not my niche, not my vibe.
Not at all.
I don't like SketchUp at all. I've always struggled with it. I don't mind Revit, but I think it can go very wrong. I think you need to be very Revit strong and very conscious about your line weights. So sometimes I feel like I focus on like the smallest details when then like my drawings aren't actually that strong, but if you look at them, they're strong, but then the information isn't that strong. So I think I still need to find my balance with that. And then hand drawing I love. But I would say my most favorite is rendering. So Photoshop, all the Adobe suite, and then Lumion, Inkscape, and Twinmotion.
So like 3D rendering and stuff like that?
3D renderings, yeah.
So would you like go from Revit to Lumion?
Yeah, so I'd usually take it from Revit to Lumion, or I take my model and then I put it into Photoshop and I render from there.
Or like the physical model?
Yeah, physical model.
Is that how you did it for Caesarstone?
Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Time and efficiency, I'd say it's computers, so your Revit, right? But then there's something cool about hand drawing, man. Hand drawing is like, it's like taking notes by hand. Like there's something very intimate about it. It sticks more, you understand your building. So we started off with hand drawings, right? Obviously some people were very eager to start to use softwares and stuff. But then you end up realizing that going back to, it's similar to the point that I made about nature, where I was saying that things that are done naturally, there's just certain advantages that come with it, because drawing with your hand, it's like taking notes with your hand. You know, you get to know your building more. You're also very, I think you're more expressive with hand drawings, you know. I can just draw an arc. If I don't like a raise, I just draw, I just do this, I just do this. Whereas in Revit, yes, Revit is quick, but like, especially like your organic forms, it's very,
Just steep learning curve.
you know, but it is very much possible, you know. There are people that design organic forms quite successfully using CAD, but it takes quite a while.
What about going to the library?
Library, I never touched the library, bro. I never touched. But I did touch it once though. Once was in first year.
Yeah.
Makes sense why first year, because you're trying to, you know, start off your uni life very nicely. But in third year, I went to the library just to help someone print. That's it.
That's all.
Yeah.
Love.
Yeah.
But do you feel like your project sort of
How many times did you go to the library?
Quite
Really?
often, actually, yeah.
And
so
you,
like,
I'm sure you're the only one, right?
no, there was a bunch of us actually.
What?
Less than 5 though, so out of the whole
Okay, that's not a bunch.
that's a small amount. Yeah, but
A handful of people.
I felt like, okay, Pinterest was also one place which I would go to for like inspiration when it comes to projects. But when it comes to the construction
No, that's okay.
when it comes to the
We're
construction,
putting that in. We're not cutting that out.
I'll see. When it comes to the construction aspect of the project, I feel like the library, this is actually the biggest architectural library in South Africa, if not on the whole continent.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
So the information in that library was quite helpful.
Yeah,
So-
I think I slept in the library, honestly.
Yeah, I think for construction, extremely helpful. Maybe conceptually wise, maybe you find something quite interesting. I mean, the books are old, so they won't really be catching up with the latest trends. So, but do you feel like your project's sort of been better, let's say mainly on construction?
If I spend time in the
yeah.
library, probably, man. I'm not. Yeah, let me make it clear. I'm not trying to make it seem like what I did in third year was the right way of doing construction. I'm just saying that, like, unexpectedly, Pinterest sort of helped me, you know. But to your question, yeah, I probably would have helped me a lot to go to the library and stuff, especially with, like, the design I had to take into construction. And I'm telling myself, no, I'm gonna figure it out. I'm gonna do my research, all of that stuff. I blame that on Deborah. Jokes. I don't blame that on Deborah.
Yeah.
Nah, she encouraged me, like she pushed me. Because essentially, like my design project that I had was, the structure was basically just columns, right? columns and slabs. But when it came time to like taking my design project into construction, Kyra was like, nah, man, this is like cool and stuff. But after hearing your concept, this is what she's saying. After hearing your concept, I think it'd be more. It would be more challenging and more interesting if I were to have this whole building be supported by the column. Not the column, sorry, the vertical circulation, the core of the building. And so that's what I did. I was like, you know what, nah, that would be cool. And I think you're right there, bro. I know where you're going with this. So I said, okay, no, I'm gonna do this. I think it's gonna help me because I'm having this problem of like not enjoying construction. This is a project that I think I'm gonna enjoy if I do this approach. And yo, bro, it was hard. It was hard. And I think to what I said earlier was I was looking for things that were directly onto my project. But I think that was the wrong approach to doing my research. In that I had to look at projects that will obviously resemble my design, not exactly, but there's always a building out there that could definitely help you with detailing and trying to find the best option in terms of like structurally, circulation, and just the approach of your design. So yeah, I did manage to find some projects.
So what is your workflow from when you start doing your concept sketches until you present?
So it depends on the project, because I don't think every project can be expressed in Revit. I think if you're doing like a very lightweight type of project, Revit just isn't the medium to use. So I think my workflow would be to like do maybe, because we get very long periods to do our project, like a month, 2 months, 3 months, to like go for crits. So I think my workflow in the beginning is quite slow, and it's really getting that concept. Like concept is key, and getting that right, and having everything go back to that concept. So I'd probably start hand drawing, concept sketches, perspectives, start like getting
The perspectives
shapes
before the plans.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Because in my mind I needed to know like what size, what shape I wanted to look like. Then I go to plans. Just draw random shapes, like try to get the plan together. And then I would say if it's a Revit, like a project I think is fine for Revit, go into Revit. And then I wouldn't say my project's always finished when I render. Like my needle end's not finished, but rendering has to happen at some point. So I just...
You mean like finished in terms of plans or?
Finished in terms of modeling. Like I do hide some things, I think we all do. But yeah, then I put it into render and then Photoshop it. I think that's a step that people miss, is they think that Lumion going to give you the perfect render, but you actually have to make it feel like reality, and I think Photoshop does that way better than Lumion or Inkscape or Twinmotion.
100% agree with that.
Yeah.
First year, the software that we were introduced to first was SketchUp. We also got introduced to the rest of the like Adobe suite. So your Photoshops, your Premiere Pros, those type of things. And then later on, we also got introduced to Revit, which is very interesting because we had been using Revit ever since first year, but I would only say that it was end of second year that I started understanding Revit, So software takes a long time to master, So I would say that my workflow would be like hand drawings, like conceptual drawings, like more or less what I want. Sometimes what I would do is also I'll take like paper, and then I'd also make like quick models, nothing hectic, like very just quick paper models, just to see like the form in 3 dimensions, just to see, oh, okay, this is what I need to explore. And then you take it to Revit, and then from Revit, it's also a back and forth with hand sketches and stuff. You maybe draw your floor plan, or you start to put the walls, you see how it looks, sketch it. maybe show it to someone, maybe someone can, because like, you know, you can sketch what you see on Revit, right? Then you give it to someone and then someone takes their pen and then they maybe like might draw like an awning there, just to say, okay, maybe if you put an awning there, that might look nice. If you do this, you do this. So it's just like a back and forth process, you know. It's not a linear process, it's a circular process, you know, where it's just, okay, this is what we're doing. What if you do it like this? Let's take a step back and maybe incorporate this, you know. So Revit has become very important in my workflow, I can't lie. Because Revit, you could argue, can pretty much do what a lot of the softwares can do, you know. The only thing that's different is maybe like the execution. But Revit is a very powerful software in my opinion.
A joke which you normally make about like studying is when you're studying, you're the whole architectural team, but when you're working, you just only focus on one aspect. But like when it comes to like working as a student, you need to think about everything. And do you think when you have to consider complex things at the same time, does it work for you that way, or do you just prefer everything to be simple?
Okay, yeah, no. I get you. I'd probably most definitely say that I think the best way to do it, and it might sound wrong, but I think you should like approach it in a more complex manner, in that like you're thinking about all sorts of things at the same time. Because one thing that I've learned for sure is if you design in isolation in regards to like just focusing on one aspect, let's say circulation. So I'm saying that like it's definitely it's gonna play in your favor if you start to not overthink things, but rather start to think about all sorts of things at the same time. Because then later on, you won't be in a situation where, oh shoot, I forgot to take into consideration about shading or the circulation of the building, or how people are interacting with your building, or how people enter your building. So in the early stages of designing and stuff, I think it's actually a good thing to be thinking about all of these things at the same time and not leave it as a last minute thing, because it's you will see the repercussions of just leaving a certain aspect of the design last minute, and then you're gonna try to reiterate your design to answer that problem or to answer that thing that you left out.
Okay, you already spoken about physical modeling, but how important is that to you?
So important. I think I had a model for every project. I love modeling. I've loved laser cutting models, going to wood workshops, making them, like the whole process. And I think the understanding you get from actually building it, like even if it's in a small form, is so important. Like before it is like 2D, and elevations and sections, yes, they're beautiful and they can be beautiful, but they're not real. And to see something in 3D is so important, because that's when you know, okay, this shape is working. Okay, what can I do here? And to go through that process of like, even like putting something there and then cutting back and then taking this off and narrowing it down, is what 3D modeling does. And I think everyone needs to do it, because sometimes things don't fit, and it might look right in 2D and flat on the page, but as soon as you put it into 3D, you're like, oh, that does not look good in the space, and I'm not thinking about this or I'm not thinking about that. So I think it's really, really important.
So that was part 3 of the Surviving Architecture series, and I really hope that the series has been helpful to you so far. If you have any personal questions, feel free to DM me on Instagram at Khongelani, and if you want to see part 4 of the Surviving Architecture series, which talks about mental health, please click on the following video.